President Biden's first international trip as president now in the books. He met with members of the G7, spoke with NATO members, also met with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. For a closer look at the key takeaways from the summit, we want to welcome in our panelists. They're standing by, Bobby Eberle and Jessie Jane Duff. Bobby, what were your key takeaways from the summit, from the meeting that we saw with Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin specifically?
Well, I think this is like the political version of hold my beer. You know, Kamala Harris did this trip to Guatemala and Mexico, and it was widely panned. It was criticized. Joe Biden says, hey, you hadn't seen nothing yet. And whether it was the G7 or NATO, he seemed incoherent. And with Putin, I mean, it's just, I think the world stage, these countries, they look for these Democrats to say America is back. Because as soon as they do that, they know America is not back, that they can get their way, that they can run roughshod. And they just keep pushing the issues. He just conceded everything with Putin, didn't push it back against Nord Stream 2, and just, I mean, and then this list of untouchable cyber sites, you know, cyber issues, it was just kind of ridiculous. And the whole thing really drove people's concern about whether Joe Biden can handle this job. To be incoherent, to mix up countries, not once, not twice, but 3 times in one little speech, it just shows that he is struggling. He's having problems, and I don't think it looked good for America at all.
Yeah, he's, of course, the list, the 16 infrastructure pieces, do not attack. That's the warning that he's sending. Okay, I also want to bring in Will Ruger. He's the Vice President of Research and Policy at the Charles Koch Institute. Standing by. Will, thank you for coming on today. As we're talking about the summit, one of the things that many political watchers were looking for to see was whether President Biden would do anything on Ukraine, specifically whether or not they should join NATO. That was going to be the question here. And the president was asked about it by the press. I think we've got that soundbite. We'll play it for you, and then we'll get your reaction. Here's that.
Thanks.
Oh, okay. We're working on it. But in the meantime, Will, talk to me about whether or not that would be a positive decision for the president to take a stance as to whether Ukraine should enter NATO.
Well, I think the United States really needs to close the open door to NATO. I mean, alliances are means towards ends, not ends in themselves. And when you think about a country like Ukraine or Georgia, it's not a means that actually makes us more safe or more prosperous. I mean, Ukraine would become a security dependent that's already involved in a conflict with Russia. Georgia has had a conflict with Russia and is tiny and far away and not militarily powerful and not really an economic powerhouse either. And so these would be more security dependents. And we've already have the problem of the fact that our European allies are not really pulling their weight in the alliance. And so I'd rather have more attention paid to how Germany and France and other countries could increase their share of the burden and shift some of the burden of European security so we could focus on other issues, both domestic priorities here at home and the challenge of China's rise. Well, rather than trying to think about expanding an alliance that isn't really adding as much as it used to.
Welcome back to National Report. While the country might seem incredibly divided along political lines, one organization says there's one thing that still unites us all, and that is the importance of family. Watch this.
Politicians are making it harder to be awesome. They're teaching our kids that America is evil, and instead of protecting our kids online, they're protecting the porn companies. But where do families turn when politicians are causing them problems? They turn to American Principles Project. We're the only group organizing parents and families to help elect good pro-family politicians and unelect the bad guys. We think that politicians should pay a price when they hurt families, and we want to protect the good pro-family guys from all of the anti-family organizations out there.
All right, the man in the video there, Super Dad, it's Terry Schilling. He's joining us now live. Hi, Terry. He's Executive Director of the American Principles Project. Our panelists are also with us, so we're going to open up this conversation to Bobby Eberle and Jessie Jane Duff as well. But Terry, start off the talk. Let's talk about this project that you're launching here. We just saw a portion of the ad. Tell us what inspired you to form this group and why you felt you needed to launch it right now.
Well, the threats to the family, especially as it pertains to our schools and education system, have never been greater. I mean, you put our kids in, you look at what your kids are learning in public school. They're learning that they're racist, their country's racist, their parents are evil. They're inflicting all of these really weird ideas about gender and sexuality. It's absolutely terrible, and it's bonkers. And so we thought, how do we fight back? And the one thing that politicians, really the only thing that they care about, is whether or not they're going to get reelected. If a politician thinks something's going to hurt them, they're not going to do it. And so we wanted to organize families in politics to make the bad guys pay a price when they hurt us and indoctrinate our kids, and help elect good pro-family guys when it comes to Congress. This concept's not crazy. We're not reinventing the wheel here. The NRA has been doing this for years for gun owners. The AARP does it for seniors. We want to do it for families because there's no one doing it for families in politics, making politicians pay a price for families. So that was the whole concept. And I think we're hitting this at the perfect time because the threats have never been greater.
And you know, Terry, we've seen a lot of viral moments of parents attending school board meetings. They're speaking out about some of the curriculum items that are being taught in their kids' school. And I'm sure that you'd be looking into maybe some of those people speaking out. Are you kind of recruiting a new crop of politicians who aren't really intending to become politicians, but they just feel the calling to do so because no one else is really listening?
You hit the nail on the head. So I bet your viewers probably don't know this, but in 2009, my father, who was a pizza guy, no college degree or anything, he called me up and wanted me to run his campaign for Congress. And frankly, I was a little bit overwhelmed. The political system to average people seems very complicated and hard to navigate. But what I found, though, is that it's actually super easy. It's easy to get on the ballot. It's easy to run for office. It's easy to get your message out. You just have to be dedicated. And that's where the left has beaten us. And so our whole strategy here is to get families engaged, get rid of that notion that politics is daunting and that they can't do it, because they can. So we're going to be training these families on how to be engaged and active in politics, how to run for office, and how to hold your elected officials accountable. It's going to be so great because, look, everyday people are always the ones that end up changing the world. And we're just looking to tap into that and the love and passion that parents have for their kids.
Yeah, I want to go to the panel. Bobby Eberle, your thoughts on this organization and their goals here?
Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. Before we came back from break, I watched the full commercial, which I thought was just, it was hilarious. There was some funny moments. But, you know, I'm at a conference right now where we are talking about getting a message out on the faith side to families to get them more engaged on that side. The other side of that coin is getting people involved in the political side, because we see the attacks coming. The left is relentless. They will go run for school boards. They will go run for city councils. All the things where they make a difference at the family level, and most people don't know what to do. They don't know how to fight back. They don't know how to get involved. This organization's awesome. I'm going to do my part to help promote it, because I think Terry and the whole organization is doing something that is needed at a very crucial time.
Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.